Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into the inner workings of China's economy as explained by Professor Chenggang Shu, touching on economic reforms, why they matter, and the role of competition in this massive system.
I'm excited to peel this apart. There's a lot to unpack, right?
Absolutely. It's like, think of China's reforms as a series of steps that transition the state from a purely planned economy to one that harnesses market forces, but still with its distinct twist.
Right, and it's really interesting how we often misunderstand this transformation, almost like assuming a sudden switch rather than a gradual and calculated reform process.
Exactly. The video highlights two key phases: the initial economic reforms that began decades ago, and then the further competitive adjustments that continue to shape modern China. It's like
Yeah,
a two-stage rocket where the first stage lifts off and the second stage refines the path.
that's a cool analogy, like launching a spacecraft where you need a precise initial burst and then fine-tuning the orbit.
Right. And, one main point is the role of competition. The reforms weren't just liberalizing the market, they also introduced competition among various state owned enterprises and new private ventures, pushing them to innovate.
True. But don't you think some argue that such competition undermines the socialist principles, since China still maintains strict state control over key sectors?
Yes, that's one perspective. But the video, as explained by Professor Shu, suggests that China's model is more nuanced. It's like socialism with market characteristics. It uses competition as a mechanism to boost efficiency without fully discarding state oversight.
Intriguing. It makes me wonder just how balanced that system really is. I mean, can you have too much of that competition when it might lead to inequality or instability?
That's a valid point. There's an inherent tension there, and the reforms have to continually adjust to ensure that the competitive drive doesn't spiral into detrimental inequality. It's a perpetual
Right.
balancing act.
And when we talk about the stock market, many are curious how a socialist country ends up wading into those waters.
Exactly. The introduction of the stock market is a fascinating element. It's not just about like raising capital, it's also about creating a channel for enterprises to signal performance, allowing investments to flow where they're most needed.
Yeah, it almost seems paradoxical, doesn't it? China is socialist, yet it's embracing a market tool almost run by profit motives.
Right, but it's like a carefully controlled experiment. The state still holds the final reins. For instance, the government might intervene if the market starts deviating too far from its broader social goals. It's a managed risk.
I get that. It's like they're walking a tightrope between free market dynamics and state intervention.
Exactly that. And the historical perspective is crucial here. China's path to economic prosperity wasn't a random leap. It was the result of careful reforms that gradually introduced market elements while still retaining a robust government role.
And those reforms, like the establishment of special economic zones, were really groundbreaking, weren't they?
Yes, they're like controlled microcosms where the government could test policies before rolling them out nationwide. That experimentation helped refine what kind of reforms worked best.
Yeah,
It's an iterative process.
I find that approach pretty smart. Yet, some critics might claim it's too cautious for a rapidly evolving global economy, wouldn't you say?
That's a fair critique. While measured steps ensured stability, they might have also slowed down bold, transformative change in some areas. But the trade off was less social disruption.
True, it's that classic debate, rapid reform versus gradual adjustment.
Precisely. And it's worth noting, competition also plays into setting up a system where local governments and businesses are almost in a race against each other to innovate and excel, sort of like a competitive
Right,
race where the finish line keeps moving.
that's a vivid image. But does that race ever lead to unsustainable practices or bubbles like some fear with rapid growth?
Absolutely, that's a risk. The infrastructure, real estate markets, and other sectors have sometimes been prone to overheating. But then, the Chinese model has seen periodic recalibration, sort of reminding everyone that unchecked race dynamics can lead to instability.
It's like you can sprint all you want, but you need to pace yourself for a marathon.
Exactly, it's like a marathon where sprints are sustainable only if you periodically rein in and catch your breath. The government's intervention is key here, offering a sort of safety net.
And another thing, the video subtly challenges the Western perspective that often oversimplifies China's economic narrative.
Right, it dismantles the misconception that China's growth was purely state driven or that it had no market elements. Instead, it's an intertwined web of state strategy and market forces, kinda like two sides of the same coin.
But hey, isn't it a bit ironic that while we praise their controlled reforms, critics often claim that China is too meddled in its economy?
Exactly, and that's where the nuance is. The controlled nature has both propelled growth and at times stifled certain competitive dynamics. It's a dual edged sword, really.
I see. So essentially, the state's intervention has been a blessing and a curse.
That's right. In many respects, it provided the necessary framework for rapid transformation, yet it can also slow down spontaneous innovation that comes from truly free markets. It's a trade off that
Yeah.
keeps evolving.
And when we circle back to the core idea, economic reform, it's clear that China's journey is not just about numbers, but also about adapting to internal and external pressures while keeping a unique societal model intact.
Precisely. The reforms addressed issues like productivity inefficiencies and distribution imbalances, aiming to boost overall competitiveness. It's like remodeling a house while living in it. You can't just rip everything out at once.
That imagery really brings it home, and it shows why the process must be gradual and mindful.
Exactly. And the video also touches on the global implications, how China's economic model influences international trade and finance. It's not isolated, but part of a broader, complex interplay in the global economy. It's a world of interconnected risks and rewards.
So, would you agree that understanding China's economy provides insights into alternative economic models, especially in how state and market forces can coexist?
Absolutely. It's a lesson in innovation under constraints. It challenges the binary view of capitalist versus socialist economies. Instead, it shows a hybrid model that's evolving along its own path.
I love that. It really makes you think about the rigidity of our traditional labels.
Indeed. And while we admire the achievements, we also need to critically assess the drawbacks like potential debt issues or uneven development across regions.
Right.
There's always room for improvement, even in systems that seem robust.
It's a dynamic story, isn't it? One that's still unfolding right before our eyes.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so fascinating. The continuous interplay between reform, competition, and state control offers a rich tapestry that's well worth exploring further. It's a complex yet compelling economic model.
Truly. And it sparks a lot of questions about what the future economic landscape might look like, not just in China, but globally.
Yeah, and it's like the more we dig in, the more we see that economic systems are rarely black and white. They're a blend of influences, compromises, and strategies that adapt over time.
Appreciate the thoughtful breakdown. It's enlightening to see how deep the interplay is between policymaking, competition, and, keeping societal stability.
Absolutely. And while the story of China's economy is complex, it gives us a valuable lens through which to reconsider our own economic narratives. And that's a wrap
Right.
on today's exploration.
Thanks for the insights. It's been a real eye-opener.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Until next time, keep questioning and exploring these fascinating economic stories.